Hi everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. Today I got some updates on the Boy Scouts and some stuff that's going on for them, which doesn't look so good. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, like this video if you end up liking it, hit the notification bell, and do make sure to leave comments. So it looks like the United Methodist Church is going to be leaving the Boy Scouts, at least temporarily. Essentially what's going on is they've been in court, in bankruptcy court, and the Boy Scouts have, and they've come to a settlement for $850 million for victims of sexual abuse. And what happened was when the Boy Scouts went to court, they didn't include the charter organizations like the United Methodist Church, so that they would be protected as well. Now, most likely, this settlement will take care of all those issues, but it still exposes all the other charter organizations to lawsuits that they wouldn't be able to, that the Boy Scouts wouldn't be able to cover with their liability insurance. So, in order to help limit their liability, there's an organization or like an ad hoc committee that was put together by the church to essentially assess this situation, and they're recommending to all their churches to cut ties, at least temporarily, with Boy Scouts. Now, there are some interesting numbers here, and this article does mention our church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. If you're a member of the church, if you're watching this channel, you most likely are. So let me just read a couple things here. So this call to disaffiliation matters because the United Methodist Church is the largest remaining source of Boy Scouts of America organizational charters, now that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints broke formal ties with BSA last year, removing a reported 400,000 youth from BSA programs chartered by the Mormon congregations in order to create its own global youth development program. Now, that is what the official story is, that the church is cutting ties because of that. Although, I think there's been some speculation, and there's probably some reason to believe that it may not just be because the church is becoming more global in scope, but there's been a lot of changes that have been happening with the Boy Scouts, as you may know, and I'm going to cover that in just a minute here. So, in Boy Scout structures, chartered organizations are churches, schools, clubs, or individuals that agree to work with a local BSA council to be responsible for a Boy Scout troop or a Cub Scout pack, often providing meeting space and identity. As recently as a decade ago, at least 2/3 of BSA chartered organizations were churches, with the Mormons representing 37% of all units. That's a lot. And the UMC, or the United Methodist Church, accounting for another 10%. So it was already a really, really big blow to the Boy Scouts when the church announced that it was going to cut ties. And I remember when that happened because at the time me and my wife were scout leaders when we were back in Phoenix, and I'm not going to lie, I wasn't sad by that announcement. We loved doing scouts, but like it wasn't maybe our most favorite calling. So yeah, I clearly remember when that happened, and that was in the middle of just all these changes that were coming to the church, and you guys all remember there was just like, it seemed like every month there was some kind of like new change, and that was like one of the biggest ones, because my whole life the church had always been involved in scouts, and you went to young men's or even in primary, and you went to scouts. So that was a pretty big deal when that was discontinued. So moving over here to this article, this is CBN News. It's talking about how essentially a lot of churches have been leaving the Scouts. and there's some interesting numbers here as well. Um, where was it? Boy Scouts lost their way. For years, the Boy Scouts have been mired in controversy that has caused numbers to plummet. Issues ranging from bankruptcy due to lawsuits, and that's what we were just talking about, to opening the Scouts to girls, which I I've never really understood that. Like there were Girl Scouts, so but I do understand it because I know there's a lot of social engineering that's going on, and we're trying to basically make gender go away, or at least the recognition of traditional values as they relate to gender. So Boy Scouts went from being Boy Scouts to now Boy Scouts with girls. I don't know. Continuing on, and gay youth and adult leaders to participate. Um, those items combined with the pandemic led to a membership drop from almost 2 million members in 2019 to around 762,000 this year. So that is stunning. Going from 2 million to now less than a million. I don't know. And and it looks like it's going to go even lower because now the United Methodist Church is going to be jumping ship. And in this article, it did say that that could be just temporary, but it makes me wonder once, because I guess like with their church, it's up to whatever the local congregation decides to do. Um, I don't know if there's like very much central authority in that church. I'm not too familiar with them, but from the way that the article was talking, it seemed like that was up to local congregations. And I think that makes it even worse because, you know, I'm sure that they have a lot of the same values as most other Christians and aren't too happy with what's been going on with the Scouts and all the social engineering. So once they leave, I feel like chances of them coming back are probably not very good, but I guess we'll just have to monitor the situation and see what happens. So it looks like this number of 762,000 could go even lower. Um, and that's a really sad thing because for members of our church, um, Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts was like a really beloved part of the church. Um, I wasn't like ever really too big into it myself, but the activities that I did participate in, and especially in Boy Scouts when we started going out and camping and going to all these fun places, it was like it really enriched my life. And it's just so sad that this has happened. But we, in my opinion, we're in end times. Well, that's basically if you remember the church, that's just a fact. These are the latter days, and you can expect things like this to happen. I never in my wildest dreams back in the 80s, 90s could have imagined that the church would be the way that it is right now with, only 2 hour meetings on Sunday, no scouts, home church, what's going on at BYU right now, um, the temple's closing and missionary work, you know, somewhat stopping or kind of coming to a standstill. It's just like it's like we're living in just bizarro world right now with everything that's going on. No one really could have predicted this, I don't think, back then. But here we are, and you know, is it going to come to the point where Boy Scouts just completely goes away? Like, I don't know. We're just going to have to watch. That's all that we can do. It seems like every single day just gets crazier and crazier on this planet, and things that you thought were safe, well, it turns out that maybe they're not. So, yeah, so it just goes on to say how a lot of Christian churches are opting for these other scout-like organizations like American Heritage Girls. There was another one for boys. I'm not gonna find it, but yeah. So I'll include both of these articles in the description if you want to read through this whole thing. Um, it's just fascinating to watch all these events take place, and I feel like this is just another minor sign of the times. This is basically happening because of what's happening socially in our country and around the world. The world is getting worse and worse, and all of our traditional institutions and organizations are being impacted by it. The world is being transformed, and I would say that it's intentional on the other side. Like, it's not really organic. I don't think that our church leaving the Boy Scouts was something that was inevitably going to happen. Maybe it was kind of like the convergence of certain things, like the church thinking about how it's becoming more and more global, and then with the Scouts doing what they were doing, just those two things coming together. Maybe the brethren were inspired. Hey, let's just do this. Let's just do our own thing. We'll restructure our youth program. So anyway, I'm just gonna leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe. Like the video if you liked it. Hit the notification bell. I'll be doing a lot more videos on church news and watching for the signs of the times and talking about the second coming. And of course, we'll also be talking about homesteading. And I'll talk to you later.